I'm Tom Stewart, the Executive Director of the National Center for the Middle Market at the Fisher College of Business at Ohio State University. And I'm pleased to share with you the results of our National Middle Market Indicator for the first quarter of 2014. We've done this indicator for the last 9 quarters. It's a study of executive sentiment and performance for the 200,000 companies in the U.S. middle market. Those companies represent about 1/3 of the gross domestic product of the United States. They represent about 1/3 of employment. So they're very important in the U.S. economy, and they're very important in the global economy as well. Taken together, these companies have an output that is greater than that of all of Germany. So I'm going to look at 4 areas. I want to look at performance, I want to look at jobs, I want to look at their expectations going forward, and look at the challenges that the companies are facing. So let's look at revenue first. If we look at the year-on-year numbers from the first quarter of last year to the first quarter of this year, what we see is 6.5% revenue growth from middle market companies. A really impressive number, the best number we've seen in the 9 quarters that we've been measuring. We see a similar pattern when we look at jobs. In the last year, in the year ending in the first quarter of 2014, middle market companies had a 3.7% increase in their payrolls. Again, a very impressive number and a higher number than we've seen before, and a number that shows off particularly well in comparison to the large companies in the S&P 500, where the job growth was 2.6%, and the small companies, the startups, that are about 2.1% year on year. One other detail in the performance and the revenue and jobs growth that I think is interesting is that the sector that performed the best is wholesale trade. Now that might be an indicator of increasing economic activity, because if wholesale trade begins, then retail trade is likely to follow. So this growth in both revenues and jobs in wholesale trade is a particularly, I think, auspicious note. Overall, what we're seeing is that 60% of the executives we surveyed said that they had improved economic performance compared to last year, and only 9% said that business was less good. That's the best ratio we've seen since we've been looking at these numbers. And looking forward, expressing confidence, 59%, basically the same number, say that business is going to get better, and a mere 6% are worried about seeing a contraction. So the confidence in the middle market is growing, the performance of the middle market is growing, and yet, consistent with their past behavior, these executives are pretty cautious with a dollar. If you ask them, if you had an extra dollar to invest, what would you do with that extra dollar? Only 64%, and that's a number we've seen consistently for a while, only 64% say they would invest it, and 36% say that they would keep it in the form of short-term financial instruments or cash or something like this. So they're optimistic but cautious, and they tend to be a conservative group, and that's a pattern that we've seen before. Now, to be sure, the picture is not entirely rosy, and they face a considerable number of challenges. Middle market executives continue to report a lot of concern about uncertainty in government policy and about healthcare costs. The good news is that that concern has gone down by double-digit numbers in both cases. But the bad news is that still a third of them say that they are concerned about healthcare costs, and a third of them say that they are concerned about uncertainty in government policy, and almost half, 46%, say that they are concerned about healthcare costs. Again, that's down a lot from what it was before, but it is still a significant concern. The other concerns that are rising to the surface for middle market companies, that have always been there but are now rising as their top concerns, are some bread and butter business concerns. Can we get the talent? Can we manage our labor costs? And how do we get an even sharper customer focus? So these 3 bread and butter business issues are rising to the surface as their most important concerns. They've still got heavy concern about government policy and healthcare costs, but those are receding somewhat on their dashboard of the things that they're worried about. So that's the news from the middle market in the first quarter of 2014. It's mostly good news. It underscores 3 things. First of all, the importance of the middle market as the engine of growth, the engine of profit growth, output growth, employment growth in the United States. Second, the importance of government policy and the importance to policymakers to pay attention to the concerns of these middle market companies precisely because of their importance and precisely because there are some things that policymakers can do that would make life a lot better for them and therefore for the rest of us. And third, the importance of helping these companies get the talent and the management advice so that they can continue to do for themselves and for all of us what they've been doing so well in the past. We've got more details both on the middle market and on the details of the National Middle Market Indicator for the first quarter. Go to our website, middlemarketcenter.org, and you can find more there. Thanks very much.